Folks, it is Monday night, January the 27th. We're 2 days before the new moon. What you're seeing before you is a very fine view of Messier 31. And the reason I'm able to show it to you is because I've traveled some 40 miles from Tucson out on the Highway 79, which leads towards Florence, under very dark skies. I would say at least 5 magnitude stars visible overhead. And I'm not sure with the way it's displaying on the camera, but it looks really fine on the screen. Unfortunately, I'm having to hold the camera because I may have forgotten the little microphone mount I used for the camera. You are seeing, of course, Messier 31, and we just had some kind of transition across the screen. You're seeing two dark lanes above it, with Messier 110 up in the upper left, and Messier 32 down below on the right. Probably going to notice off over in this direction here, there's an H2 region, probably right near the edge of the screen. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on it, and we're going to see what how the vision may change. Notice I am not in perfect focus, so let me do the focusing on it because it just revealed the fact I'm not in good focus when I did the zoom in. So give me a moment on that, folks. Well, focus may be something I'm going to improve on throughout the evening. I did tighten it up a little bit. Let's see what we jump back to in terms of percentage of zoom. We're at 20% now, which just encompasses the entire M31, 32, and 110 system. We lose 110 when we go to, show me again, 30%, which means we've gained 50% in magnification. We've lost 110, but we still are seeing Messier 32 off over here. Let's continue to zoom in a little bit. Maybe it'll reveal more of the focal issues. Dark lanes are still visible. We're seeing some brighter regions off in these directions laterally across the screen. Messier 31, of course, is the largest galaxy in the local group of galaxies. I'm going to play with the focus a little bit more. And it is about 2.5 million light years distant, and eventually in 3 to 5 billion years will join up with the Milky Way galaxy to create a super galaxy. There'll be a tremendous explosion of star development. The galaxies combined may turn ultimately, if it stabilizes, into a giant elliptical or possibly a lenticular class. We'll have to see in terms of stellar evolution. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in just as an experiment a bit more. We're at 50%, 60. The core is overpowering the handheld camera from what I can tell. Now we've lost focus again, and that was at 70%, I believe. I'll go ahead and play with the focus a little bit more, and then we will have another look. Okay, we're still improving the focus a little bit. I might have traversed best focus, but at least now I'm not getting any annularities at focusing rings. Just by way of continued experiment, let's see if we can't draw out some more magnification and luminosity that comes with zooming in as we expose more and more singular pixels in a 3000 by 3008 by 3008 pixel region of the screen. I believe at 100% we're using just about all we can of the pixels, and that's our view right there. Let's go ahead and see if we can get a look at more direct view of Messier 110 before I move on. But zooming back out, we're using 10-second exposures. I am not playing with I'm not playing with the controls here. Ooh, it's a little bit too faint. So we can improve the quality of the image by playing with the controls. I think we're going to have to drop back down to 0 and adjust here a little bit. So certainly a lot of opportunities to play with image quality and what we may be able to see on the screen. And right there is probably our most aesthetically pleasing view of M31, 32, and 110. We're just about to get a 30-second single-shot exposure. I'm not sure how the image quality will appear. Not bad at all. So we're basically getting 3 times as many photons as we were getting earlier. We're seeing Messier 110 with a rather bright core with extensions off to the 10 and 4 o'clock positions. 110 is about the same distance, maybe a little closer, I'm not sure, than Messier 32. So these are 30-second exposures. I believe it will stack 5 times, but I am not quite sure. This is the ASI Studio version that captures images off the ZWO CCD imager. What's intriguing to me is we're seeing an arc of brightish light right there. I'm not sure what to attribute that to. Also, notice there's a beginning of a 3rd dark lane right there. And these previous 2 lanes in Messier 31 are now fully distinguished both towards the core of the galaxy and away from the galaxy. So we are getting quite a good image. The stellar image virtue is quite good on this screen right now. I can, of course, play a little bit with the image presentation by changing the brightness here. And that really is quite a nice view. This arc of luminosity here I have never noticed before, and I do not know what to attribute it to. So anyway, let's go ahead and have a look at NGC 891, another featured study in the night sky as we head towards the month of February. Actually, 891's best views are probably in December, but we'll go ahead with 891 right now. It's very intriguing. It's going to take quite a while before we actually see 891. I'm getting a stack status here that says current image ignored. Of course, I've just navigated to NGC 891. Apparently it's stacking 7 images. It's ignored 3 so far, and the total exposure time will be 210 seconds. So basically it's not mapping up against the previous 4 or 5 stacks that have been accumulated by the software. So not only are we doing 30-second exposures, we're stacking as many as 7 images, and I'm going to have to wait for the image of NGC 891 to finally appear. It's entirely possible, although the angle is wrong here, that this is residual from Messier 31, but I do recall that I did not change to 30-second exposures until after Messier 110 was visible on the screen. So in this case, it's a bit of a mystery, but I do love those stars. Look at this resolution here on this double right here on the screen. Very, very nice. Let's go back and see what our zoom is. It's at 20% now. And while this image is still available to us, let's go ahead and zoom in on it of Messier 110. At some point, we're going to get 7 stacked images of 891, and then we should see the image actually begin to formulate. Let's give that a break. Well, essentially, this light must be coming from the screen itself. So that explains this light. It's persistent. What I've had to do here is I had to stop this exposure time and reduce it to 10 seconds. Now, I wish I could get rid of that light on the screen. I'm not sure where it's reflecting from. It's possible it's coming in through the scope itself. Anyway, what you're seeing here is NGC 891 with a very sharp and clear edge on dark lane across the center. I'm only doing 10-second exposures now. because it was just taking too long to stack the images. And the other thing I needed to do was basically to clear the stack before I started another one, which is something I needed to be more aware of. Here's 891 developing nicely as we zoom into the core, towards the core of the galaxy. Great extension. A little bit more here to the 8 o'clock position than to the say 3 o'clock position here, 2:30 position. But look at the clarity. Look at the breaks and the texture along the core presentation in this view. And consider we're only imaging for 10 seconds at a time. Now it says it's stack 10, it's ignored 1. So it's continuing to stack images over a 10-second period of time. So perhaps it's best to just go ahead and leave the camera in the 10-second modality and allow it to do multiple stacks. Here's another little thing of interest here. This right here on the left-hand side of the galaxy, NGC 891. And I'm not sure what to attribute that to, but there is this arc of bright light here that I have to be concerned about a little bit. Now I'm going to run out of battery in this handheld camera. It's quite cold out. And what we do want to do is we want to have at least a look at the Great Orion Nebula under idealized conditions. I'm at about 4,000 feet. Stars easily to magnitude 5.5 are visible overhead. These are really very fine conditions for doing deep sky imaging or eyepiece astronomy, if that is your preference. Anyway, let's go ahead and run over to Messier 42 and 43 for our next view. Well, folks, it looks like I really nailed the 3-star alignment tonight. Look where Messier 42 and 43 ended up on the screen. Absolutely beautiful. Now, I have to say that when I did my alignment on Sirius, it was seriously not anywhere near the finder scope, and I had to search for it. But once I did center up Sirius and Alpha Ursa Majoris and then finally Deneb, this is the result I'm getting with 891, Messier 31, and Great Orion Nebula. My view on the screen is spectacular compared to what I'm seeing on the handset display, but hopefully you're seeing something on the screen that equivalates to what I'm seeing now. It is absolutely superb. We just boosted to 30%, 40%. Look at that view. Look at the texture, the color, the beauty. I am still using the light pollution filter, which is filtering out certain frequencies, even though I'm in a rather remote location. But look at the eagle sweeping its wings, encompassing the core of the Great Orion Nebula. This is just spectacular views, and when the camera runs out, I'm still going to be looking for things. But you know what I want to swing to now is Messier 77 to get an idea of what a smaller galaxy will look like that's standalone. So let's swing over to that now. Here's our initial view of Messier 77. It is seriously going to require some zooming. It is what I would call an annular galaxy. You can see the annulus around the core, the extended core of the galaxy. Fabulous, fabulous ability to zoom in and capture more and more light in terms of studies. Isn't that wow, that is just simply wonderful. These are not views, these are views you would have to have at least a 20-inch telescope to turn up at the eyepiece. And thankfully, not only do we get to take a 6-inch scope and turn it into a 20-plus inch scope, we also get to share it with fellow astrophiles. So there's one more study I want to get to before the camera battery runs out. All right, will be our final view for the evening. We're having a look at a 20% amplified image of Messier 33, the great galaxy in Triangulum, the third largest galaxy in the local group of galaxies. I'm going to continue to zoom in. I just can't quite figure out this arch right here on the screen. But you'll notice Messier 33 is famous for having various H2 regions, for instance, star-forming regions. Knots and blots of light. Look at them all over them. The texture on Messier 33 is simply outstanding because it doesn't overpower the rest of the galactic field in the same way that Messier 31 does. Sorry folks, gonna have to bail on this. Carpe Noctem, camera battery failing.